My mom kind of made me play piano. She was like, you have to go and do this. And, it's not really the perfect answer, but man, I'm glad she did.
Tal Cohen, who's a incredible piano player and composer, and is back in Perth now due to the insanity that's happening in the US. So thank you for taking your time. So the first question is, why do you have music in your life?
It's a really good question. I really thought about this for a while, and I really don't want to give a generic, it makes me happy answer, So I really thought about this deeply when I was reading kind of and looking at the other interviews. And I can't imagine it any other way. I really thought about it for a while, and I was like, I can't really imagine it any other way. Why do you have music in your life? I was kind of thinking how it would be without, and I think I would be totally like aimless, It was always something that was kind of there, from when I was a young kid. It was always there. So I suppose I never really questioned why. It was just there. But
how did it come into your life in the first place?
Exactly. My mom kind of made me play piano. She was like, you have to go and do this. And, it's not really the perfect answer, but man, I'm glad she did.
Yeah.
I'm really glad she did that. Started playing the xylophone like everyone does. Is that what everyone does? Like with the Carlos? No?
I'm not sure if everyone does, but I think some schools do it.
It's some kind of a system. And just went on the piano, and I don't think I was like really that talented or anything. I was just kind of like a hard worker, and there was some kind of interest there.
That could be a talent as a kid. The fact that you want to work hard at it is a talent.
Point, actually. Yeah. I will say that it always seemed like kind of an outlet, it was really the time when I wasn't really thinking, kind of like an escape from the world, could really lowered my anxiety, I think, just to kind of play and be in the zone. I think that's kind of it. Why originally that was. Now there's a million other reasons. As you grow older, that's how I make my living now, and whatnot. And but when it first started, and I think that's a good point you raised. It's kind of interesting to see how it starts as like something that your mind made you do, and now I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, where would I be without it? I don't know. Maybe I'll be like an engineer.
Yeah, or maybe if she made you play hockey.
Yeah, exactly. You could be,
world champion hockey player. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Suppose that's my answer. I wish I had it. I wish I knew better, but that was my journey, I suppose.
Well, you said playing music was an escape. Did you listen to music as an escape, or was it playing music?
Good question. Definitely listening. I used to listen to like Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple and everything that my dad listened to. And I don't know, there was something so cool about just, my mom had like a listening station in the house, which was uncommon for kids. Actually maybe now we're a little older. Back in the day, maybe it wasn't, but now there's not, everything's on iPods and all that, and but at the time it was like a listening, exactly. But at the time it was like a zone. So you go there and you put the headphones, you pump it for the speakers, and you're in the zone there. So you're there listening to it and doing nothing else. These days when we listen to music, we're doing something else, diving, whatever. But I don't know. It always like took me to a place that wouldn't exist otherwise. So yeah, listening to music. I didn't really get jazz at first at all, you know. I think it's a common thing. You don't really get it, but there's something about it that drew me over there, you know. And the first two CDs I got were The Cat by Jimmy Smith, which is like a funky kind of like, you know, like groovy kind of bluesy thing. So I love that. And the second CD, I bought them at the same time, was a Crazy Ornette Coleman thing.
You couldn't get any two
like
different.
Yeah, exactly. One was like a bluesy, churchy thing. And then the second one was, you know, and I was like, oh, well, I like that one and not that one. And also, like, the cover had, like, a really cool cat.
Right.
You know, the Jimmy Smith one. I was like, that's me. You know? Ornette Coleman thing. And now I'm just love the, you know, like now there's no boundaries there, you know. But back to the original point, I think it always took me to a place that I could only achieve with music, whatever that might be for anyone. For me, I couldn't go there any other way, you know. Does that make sense, kind of?
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, people, you know, find their zone. You know, I guess some people find it playing video games. Some people find it, you know, probably watching TV.
Yeah.
You know, that's maybe why, you know, drugs and alcohol are probably so popular.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, music that, you know, you use whatever you can to get into that, you know, happy place. So
yeah, I think you're right.
Music's a healthier option.
I would say so. And coffee. Well, that's not that healthy. Yeah.
Well, Well, the second question is, how do you make music?
That's a really good question. Also, it kind of varies, you know. Man, I always like when I listen to like arranger CDs, like yourself, or you know, like real arrangers, you know, that really know what they're doing. Like it still feels like it's beyond me, the organization and all that. I need to learn more about that for sure. Because it's amazing, man. It's really amazing to really organize music in such a way that collectively it makes so much sense. So originally I was kind of really into standards, and my music comes from like just creating some kind of a vibe, like a groove or something, and then kind of seeing where that goes. And that's kind of been that for a while, because that's what drew me originally, you know, developing like some kind of a form or like a bed, and then going from there, which is essentially like the modern way of playing standards, or a vamp or something. But recently, in the last 2 years, I'm coming to like I'm going to writing from a place of problem solving. I've been writing all these etudes.
Yeah, seen those. Yeah.
And I'm like, as I'm writing this, I'm like, I can't do this. So I'm playing something, like I can't do this. Write that down, and then by the end of the thing, I can play it. You know, it's like an exercise, like a Chopin etude. You know, that's how he wrote them, like as exercises. But they became some of his most famous pieces. The Chopin etudes are like legendary, you know. But they were exercises, like exercising octaves and whatnot. So really recently, that's kind of how it's working. I'm like writing pieces. I'm like, I can't do this. Write a piece around it, you know. And it's been really, really exciting. And they're becoming way more developed pieces than my usual stuff. More sectional, you know, more arranged, more kind of a little more, I suppose, not complex, but a little more developed.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, you know, what you said there, you know, you create these things for problem solving, but I think that's composition and arranging is just sort of, you know, you get yourself into a situation, it's like, well, okay, how do I get out of this? Or, you know, what's next? You know, it's a constant set of problems that you're always trying to, you know, deal with.
You nailed it. when we were studying with Terence over in Miami, Terence Blanchard, who's a great arranger, he's done all those movies, like all the Spike Lee movies is his stuff, and many other things. He was saying that, he was actually saying about me, it's like, you know, because I was playing in like I did a few gigs with him, with his band, and so we got pretty close, you know, a little bit on the road, and we were talking, and I remember he told me, don't wait for inspiration to write. So, and he said, and I remember, I get really attached to what I write, because I'm like, man, this has to be perfect, you know, and it's not because I'm a perfectionist or something, it's because it's my baby, right? Like, I'm writing this and every chord and every, you know. Well, the way he writes, and you write a piece, you put something on the paper, and if it's not good, then okay, fine. Sometimes it's just not happening, and you're like, well, I did it though. You're like an exercise, right? Okay.
Yeah. I like the expression, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be done.
Yeah, exactly. Is that how you write sometimes too, Mace? Like you kind of write something, you're like, oh, that was something, and you put it away, and it's not your favorite thing, but it's written, you know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And, and you learn from what the mistakes or what you didn't like about it, and you apply that to the next piece rather than sort of staying on the one piece. Otherwise, you'd be writing one piece of music for your whole life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm trying for my output to be like more, just put more things out there and, share them or whatever. And if they're not killing, that's okay. Like next one will be better. He was saying that he's learned it from like someone's like, hey, can you do this music for film, or can you do this project? And he's like, you can't be like, well, you know what, I'm not really inspired today, so no,
Yeah. Yeah, can you call me? Yeah, can you call me next month? I reckon. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, give me some time. I'll go out to the forest and get inspired. But he's kind of like problem solve it, like you're saying. Problem solve it. Move this here, move that there, and create something, even if you're not inspired. And he's a master of that, man. He puts out things like pretty quickly that are, very high quality. And I'm working on that, but I'm getting better at it. That's my point. So right now, it's more from a kind of problem-solving kind of thing, The other thing is that I always thought about is, and a lot of people try and write. I'm writing these things, and a lot of people say, like, man, which time signature is this in, and all that, and it doesn't. It's not really like that. It's kind of just something that you come up with, and you figure out what it's in later, or maybe never figure out because it doesn't really matter, It's like a groove or something, and people will be like, man, what is that? How did you think about that? But you're just kind of figuring something out. You're on the piano and you're just figuring it out. It's not like you're like, oh man, this sounds cool. I don't, I'm not like, I'll cut an eighth note here and I'll do this there. You kind of came up with something, and it is what it is. And then maybe you modify it a little bit, but you're not coming from, I'm going to write something in 16/8, which again, kind of like if you're coming in a problem solving kind of way, that would be the way to do it. But when it comes to rhythm and time signatures, it's not how I do it,
Yeah. I mean, you just need to put a time signature and bar lines in later when you sort of communicate it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a way better way of putting it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
To finish that, I would also say that, like, I've had a chance to play with obviously Greg Osby, and we recorded this new album, which is not out yet. But the way that he wrote, man, the way that he writes it all makes sense, and it's all crazy at the same time, but it's just so great. And also playing with Ignacio Berroa and a lot of the Latin, a lot of the Cuban guys that are living in Miami. Many others, but predominantly Ignacio Berroa. So sometimes I'm writing for them, Like I'll be like, oh, I got a gig with Ignacio coming up. I'll write something Latin kind of cool, and I did, and then we play it. And so sometimes as like my musician kind of like not society, but my musician network is expanding. I'm finding like I want to write something for him so I can see what that kind of thing. So that's really cool too. I've had the opportunity to do it. I'll write something for Jamie that he can like go crazy on. Like things like that you kind of think about the people that you're writing for.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I guess if you're playing with amazing people, I mean, and they're playing so well, and to be able to write a piece of music for them, I mean, that's
exactly
what an opportunity to.
Exactly. When I did Gentle Giants, my last album, I was with Greg Osby and Robert Hurst and all these great people, and I was like, I'm gonna throw something at him, That was a really cool experience, That's also a way of writing, But man, you've had your band, which has been pretty consistent, like the same people for a while. So you're probably thinking about writing for them, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Some of the band members have been in for the whole 15 years, and there's been sort of some long-term members, and it is nice to be able to, when you are writing a tune, have someone and their style, or their personality, or something involved. So it's a really nice luxury to have.
Super cool. See, that doesn't really happen anymore. Like, how many like consistent larger bands are there? There's not that many, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, there's a few kind of bands that have been going in Australia, but and I guess, I mean, yeah, it is hard, just to keep people involved, just especially so many people. But
that's so cool you've done for 15 years, man. What an achievement! And
thanks.
Like big big bands. There's like what, the Vanguard band.
Vanguard probably. Oh yeah, the Lincoln Center, I guess, and there's a lot of ghost bands like the Count Basie band, but it's sort of it's probably no one actually played with Count Basie.
Yeah, right. And and then there's like pop-up bands, like this guy, big band,
Yeah. But that's gives you lots of grey hairs.
Totally, man.
Well, the third question is, what excites you musically right now?
Again, really good question. I think for me, there is some kind of excitement to see what comes out of what's going on in the world right now. I'm curious to see what's going to happen. It seems relatively like a crisis. Well, it is a crisis. Well, but it's really interesting to see what art will come from it. There's all these amazing things coming up, like what people are doing online is mind-blowing. So that excites me to see kind of what adjustments are going to be made, I'm scared of it. I'm terrified of it. But it's also exciting, The same things that excited me always are still there. Like I love the live interaction or something. That's what jazz is kind of, in a way, about, the live kind of, and that's what excites me, I'm also excited to kind of see, what I have a new album coming out, and I'm excited to see what that's going to bring, especially again at this time, what's going to happen when you put music out? Like, is it going to have more of an effect or less of an effect, or what's going to happen? I remember when I first started doing this Etude thing, and I was like, I didn't know what to expect, and now people are buying them all around the world, so I'm kind of, that kind of thing made me realize that when you plant a seed, it's kind of exciting to see where it's going to go. It might be 15 years,
Yeah, and it can be, it's amazing the things that, take off. I mean, who knows, these etudes might be, they could be your legacy.
Yeah, exactly. That guy that used to wear like a hat and, long hair, and he wrote some cool etudes, that dude, That guy, you know?
That guy.
Australian, Israeli, that guy, yeah. But the same things, I suppose the same things about music that always excite me are still there, like, you know, playing with great people and like that energy and the vibe. And you know what, it goes back to the reason why I started playing music, the space that I go there. I mean, I'm excited to go there again and again.
Yeah.
Wow, that really sounds like an addict, but you know what I mean, you know?
Yeah.
Excited to go there again and again and develop my craft, the same things.
Yeah, and it's sort of, I'm thinking now about, you know, those interactions and you know, not sort of taking them for granted either.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you value them a little bit, you know, a lot more now.
Yeah.
I'm also excited about, I really enjoy traveling the world, and I've been pretty privileged in, you know, traveling with Greg Osby a lot in my own project and many other things. I've been in so many cool places, man, and absorbing from them, and, you know, but even not in a musical kind of thing, like going on the road. And I had this experience in the Ukraine when I was on a train, and Australian's visa. It's a one-time entry visa, right? So if you go into the Ukraine, you can be there as long as you want. But if you leave the Ukraine and you come back, then you need a new visa.
Oh, right.
You see what I mean? You can stay as long as you want, but so we're in the Ukraine, and then we did one gig in Poland, and we came back in. I was on the train, and the soldiers came, and they were checking it, and they were really nice. And they were like, and they were making phone calls to help me, like, can we let him stay? Like, they really tried. They were such nice people. But then they were like, we can't let you stay. So I had to get off the train.
Oh, God.
In Ukraine, and, you know, like, go get driven to the border. People that some of them didn't speak English, you know. It was really frightening. And got to Poland, and this angel of a person called Hannah, which was the manager of the tour, went with me. You know, she's Polish, but she speaks Ukrainian because the language is similar, Ukrainian. And she went with me, and man, what an experience that was. We're in this van, and like, there's no reception. They took her phone, they took my passport, you know, and I'm in the van, like, you know, and we get to Poland, and we get off, and she was like, let's just go to the hotel. You know, she got a hotel already, and bought me, like, she was so cool and so.
Oh man, you're so lucky that you had her there.
Totally, man. What would I have done? You know?
You'd be still at the border.
Totally. And but everyone was really nice. You know, those experiences always seem really dramatic, but everyone was really cool and drove us around, and they knew that it's really appreciative of us. And the Ukrainian side of things got us a visa like that. They nailed it.
Wow.
We went to Poland. By the end of the night, we had a new one. We stayed the next night and came back the next. But they worked so fast, and everyone like fixed the situation very fast. But those few hours were, that's an experience, you know. I can tell the story to you right here now, you know.
You've lived to tell the tale, yeah.
Exactly, you know. It was stressful, but man, you got to take this in your stride, you know.
Yeah.
In your stride.